Hey out there YouTube, how we doing today? Well, it's time for another interesting book review. That's right, we're going to take a look at The Threat by Andrew McCabe. I will say it like this, I'm going to try to get through this whole review and not lose perspective on what I really want to say, because there's some damn interesting parts in there. But stay tuned after we roll that intro, I'm going to tell you what I think about this. Alrighty guys, thank you so much for staying past that intro. Now, for you first-time viewers of the channel and you long-time viewers who haven't done it yet, look down below. I think it's going to be in that corner. It's going to be a little channel watermark that pops up. Man, click on that thing, it's going to bring you right to subscribe. Knock that out the way early and you ain't going to have to do it for the rest of the day. And excuse me, Red Sox are playing today. Okay, no biggie. Sorry, I like getting updates even though it's spring training. So, as you saw by the opening and everything else you clicked on, we're going to take a look at The Threat, How the FBI Protects America in the Age of Terror and Trump by former director, or I should say, acting director Andy McCabe. I paid $20 for it at Walmart. MSRP is $29.99. It's a really short read. Mark that? Okay, good. Hold on. It's only about, there we go, 262 pages. I did it in like a night and a half. Simply because I really, truly wanted to hear what he had to say. Irregardless of your politics, if you're a Republican, if you're a Democrat, you're independent, you're whatever. I give this man all kinds of respect for rising up through the ranks like he did. If you're not familiar with my reviews, every one of these little marks is something I want to talk about. Something I read in there that made me go, hold up, what the hell? This basically is in the start. Here's a huge part of his career before even Trump, and all these markers are while Trump's in office. One thing I will say right off the bat, I really didn't even know who he was, and he has a hell of a lot of my respect. I basically call Boston, Massachusetts my home, even though I spent lots of summers there, and I was, visiting relatives a lot. That's basically where I grew up. He was the point man, the acting guy for the Boston Marathon bombing. And when I read in here how he went off on an agent for not doing her job, I just went, damn. Okay, good, leadership. You have unknown terrorists. This bank may have, the video footage you need, but you're not going to wake up the bank manager because the bank is closed? No. You go to his house, you knock down his door, you do whatever you got to do to catch terrorists who are killing citizens within your town. Within the limits of the law, don't get me wrong, I am not talking for kangaroo courts and banana republics here. It starts off with why he came to the FBI, and he wanted to do something different with his life. I mean, he was a good, he had a good law firm going, from what I understand, well, a good lawyer practice going. Now, what got me was, and I honestly think this starts a lot of the problem with a lot of people. Trump is not a politician, and he never has been. It's seriously still blowing my mind after all this time that the very first political office he ran for and won was the President of the United States. Now, I said in Chris Christie's book, which I'm going to leave a card right up top, that's going to have a link to every single book review I've ever done. You can find it in there. It says, "Let me finish." And I agree with Chris on this. If Trump had had a better team around him, things may be different. But they're not, and we can't shoulda, woulda, coulda. We've only got to do with what we can do. A person who's not trained in politics, who sees the government as a business and is running it that way. So that's going to cause all kinds of problems and all kinds of crap and all kinds of everything else. I got to page 15 before I went, God, here we freaking go. I honestly thought this whole book would be about Andrew McCabe trying to protect America from Trump. What really shocked me is the vast majority of this book is about McCabe and what he did before Trump took the presidency. So it was really neat reading that and very interesting to see all this and then turn around and go, what the hell happened in 2016? But we'll get there. So on page 15, I ran into my first point. So McCabe is meeting Trump, and he says point blank, in any case, my candor would have been irrelevant in this conversation because we were not having a conversation. He really was not asking me any questions. He was probing me to find out whether I was on board with him or not. This was my loyalty test. I knew that loyalty tests were important to him. Jim Comey had been pressed the same way in the same office by the same man on more than one occasion. And as Comey himself told me, loyalty was demanded, as was personal loyalty, not loyalty to the office and or a set of ideals. Excuse me. I think that's his misconception of stuff, and I always have. I get where you're in business, you want people to sign on 100% with you. You know, when I worked for other corporations, it was our way or the highway, get the hell out of here or do what the hell we're telling you. And I get where in Washington, politicians are so entrenched in their own way and their own language and their own speak and their own stuff. Anything from the outside is scary. And that's just my viewpoint. Now, maybe Trump was demanding you will give me 100% loyalty, but I don't see it. And that's just me. Okay. Next one up was on page 22. And he says, the FBI must perform a balancing act. To keep the American people safe, the FBI must be independent of the White House. At the same time, it must maintain a close functional relationship with the White House. I agree. The FBI, while it is subordinate to the White House, because technically everything falls under the president, everything in the United States government, I get where it's got to be separate but equal, for lack of a better phrase. Since the start of the Trump administration, that relationship has been in profound jeopardy. The president has stepped over bright ethical and moral lines whenever he has encountered them. His unpredictable, often draconian behavior is dangerous, a threat to both the Bureau and the nation. See, we're already starting. He doesn't fit into the norms, so we must make him go away. Some things Trump has said, and I'll say it point blank, I look at and go, please shut up. You know, I seriously want an aide to trip him up, grab his freaking phone, and hide it from him forever, so there's nothing on Twitter for a very long time. But that's just me. Now, as you can see, there's a huge part in there. All right? Like I said, he gets all kinds of respect for how he handled Boston. And I thought that was friggin' awesome. So now we're going to skip up to page 133. And, you know, this is kind of what kills me. On one occasion, Sessions lost into a diatribe about who we were hiring at the FBI. Back in the old days, he said, you only hired Irishmen. They were drunks, but they could be trusted. Not like all these new people with nose rings and tattoos and who knows what else they're doing. Sure, it's offensive in a little while. I mean, it's stereotypical. What, every Irishman's got to be a drunk? But let's look at how the world has changed. Everything nowadays about my feelings, my values. Me. Oh, you're triggering me. Oh my God, you're wearing green. Do you not know what that does to me? You're drinking a Coca-Cola. Do you not know where that sugar is processed? Let's be honest. That's today's society. As opposed to way back when, you would have cops after work go down and have beers or whatever, and even interacting with some of the criminals that they're trying to put away and laughing about it. But hey, what do I know, right? I'm a throwback and not needed in today's society, according to some millennials in my area. So, page 161, I was wondering if this would appear in his book. He mentions Snowden. The FBI's Snowden problem had two dimensions, exposure and spoilage. Agreed. Wholeheartedly agree. His leaked documents brought counterintelligence under intense public scrutiny, not a situation in which counterintelligence thrives. I've always described the CI guys as the cockroaches in a New York apartment. Turn the light on, they scurry quick to get away from the light. Before Snowden, counterintelligence had always existed in a netherworld right where it belongs. I agree. They do the dirty work. They do the crap that no one wants to do. As a field of endeavor, it favors sheltered, quiet conditions and was rarely much discussed even internally. In presentations of the president's daily brief and the director's briefings, where the counterterrorism division was always under a gun, the counterintelligence division was almost never under the gun. Now, all of a sudden, because of Snowden, Director Mueller couldn't get enough counterintelligence. He brought out a 12-gauge full of questions. Where's Snowden now? What's he telling the Chinese? What's he telling the Russians? What are we doing to get him charged? Have we figured out the full extent of what he took? How deep are we into the damage assessment? The Assistant Director of Counterintelligence had never looked down the barrel of Mueller's questioning, and he's the only person I ever saw come near to telling Mueller where to go. Snowden's not a hero. Snowden's a traitor. Snowden's a piece of crap who stole crap and ran and went, okay, well, I'm going to go here. Oh, crap, they've now found me. Now I'm in Russia. Help me, and I'm going to expose everything. And that's kind of how I feel. See, I actually agree with McCabe on some of his stuff so far. Shocker. I know, right? Okay, 168. And now we're on, this is the part that had me just rapidly intense. The Clinton email scandal. In the beginning, the Clinton email case had nothing to do with my job. The case started for me the way it did for everyone else. I was just a guy reading the news. The New York Times, Tuesday, March 3rd, 2015, Clinton used personal email at State Department, possibly breaking rules. Next day, same newspaper. Using private email, Clinton thwarted records requests. That was a head scratcher. The idea that Clinton would use a personal email account to do government business for any reason, and she cited convenience, didn't seem plausible. So, higher up in the FBI going, your excuse is crap. But irregardless, moving on. Okay, page 174. Okay, so he's saying basically later on, about 3 full months after his wife lost her election that she was trying to, win, did he gain substantive knowledge about the case. It was a headquarters special. I had learned that fact before it hit the news. Sometimes for particular sensitive cases, for reasons of discretion, I get it on this one, I really do, the FBI runs its investigation out of headquarters instead of a relevant field office to limit the number of eyes and ears and mouths involved. 100% agree. 100% agree. The Bureau has run specials since the 1930s. Calling a case a special does not give the subject special treatment. It just means the case is handled in one distinctive way that he's described from headquarters, not a field office. I get it. Less mouths to open up to the news, less leaks, less breaking news on CNN. Page 170. The mid-year case interviews, and that's what they call the investigation, mid-year, in contrast, had become extravaganzas, with Barnum, Bailey, and every Ringling brother invited. 2 FBI agents, 5 attorneys, the witness attorney. My people would come to see me and complain, all these lawyers chill the witness. And we'd push back on justice, and they would say, it's been negotiated. They're bringing 6 attorneys, so we're bringing 6 attorneys. And I love this, his agents are complaining about all the crap and the special language they have to use, and the special way that they negotiated to be able to talk to people. So they're complaining to him, and he goes, just do it, I told the agents. Read the statement, get it done. If you feel you need to tell the witness you might have to talk to her again, it's your interview. You're conducting it. Tell the witness what you need her to know. So they did, and they brought the and brought the interview to a screeching halt before it even started. Cheryl Mills and her attorney had to leave the room and take a break. Consultation. Attorney came back, yelled at Justice, what is this? They all survived, got through the interview, but the Justice team was so angry that the FBI had done this. The next week we had to have a follow-up meeting so everyone could air their grievances and apologize. That's how fraught this thing was now. That's how much pressure had built up on this case. At every step, everyone was aware that everything that had happened could have potential huge implications for God knew what. I agree. But I don't like the fact it seemed like she seemed to slip out of crap. But that's just me. I wasn't the one who had to make the judgment call. And as much as I hate it, I'll stand by his call. He made the call. He's got to live with, his just everything. 182. Early on in mid-year, the politically appointed leadership, Attorney General Lynch and Deputy Attorney General Sally Yates, had decided not to recuse themselves. Somehow they saw the investigation of Hillary Clinton, former First Lady, former Secretary of State, and current candidate for the presidency, likely nominee of the Democratic Party, who was being supported by the President of the United States to whom they owed their jobs, as a case they could handle without prejudice. Bullshit. Recusal would have been reasonable, and I would argue a better decision for those political appointees to have made. A special prosecutor could have been appointed to oversee the case, to work with career professionals at justice or other attorneys. It would have been an extreme choice, but also a safe one. I don't know why they didn't do that. We all know why. Instead, they made a feckless, and I love it. I love it. Right there. Feckless. Compromise. They designated career professionals in the National Security Division as decision makers in this case, but didn't ambiguously commit to abide by those people's decisions. The leadership at Justice chose not to be involved, but also chose not to be recused. The worst possible choice afforded by the situation. They were not far enough removed to eliminate suspicion of partisan motivation, and not closely enough involved to exercise the active discernment that such a sensitive case demanded. It was a fatal choice. Had there been a competent, credible special counsel running the mid-year exam independently, and I love it, the way Bob Mueller's investigation has been run, I think circumstances might have been very different, and we would not have been where we ended up in July. I can't argue with the guy. He's laying it out going, everyone should have stepped back and let somebody outside the realm dig into it. Can't argue with him. Cannot argue with that. Okay. So basically page 204. And Comey calls, McCabe to talk about a conversation with Trump and tell him exactly what Trump said. And he goes, this was the moment I realized the president and his administration were not just inexperienced, not just unfamiliar with the established norms of democratic government, they wished to manipulate the functions of government mainly for their own interests. I have a problem here. Okay, I lived in Washington for a while, not Washington State, but Washington, D.C., while I was stationed in the military. You can't go to any bar, any tavern, any restaurant, anything without seeing politics being done in the good old boy network in progress. Hey, this person screwed this up, let him off. Hey, this person did this wrong, can we give him a pass? Hey, if you give me this, I'll give you that. So, that's just me. Everything in Washington is not squeaky clean and above board. It's not. And anybody who tells you that it is frickin' lying to you and has a bridge to sell you in the middle of the Mojave Desert. All right, 205. And I like this. And he's talking about fake news crap. But I also had a problem with something he just said. Then a story would appear on some fringe alt-right website without a byline. Once it was picked up by the blogosphere and on social media, an outlet such as Sinclair would have to cover to repeat it, which would enable Fox News to get on board, and then Sean Hannity and Laura Ingham would talk about it for weeks. This is a practiced intentional strategy of news circulation. The stories may be fictional and the information false, but the consequences of this strategy are real. Anybody watch CNN with certain areas? Where CNN flat out makes up some stuff, but they've never done a retraction? How about Brian Williams, who's over on MSNBC? How about Rachel Maddow during the election going, I guarantee you with all my political knowledge, Trump will never be president? How about all these people saying this will happen, this will happen, this will happen, the president's this, the president's that, these people are this, these people are that, the president's here, without any real proof? Fake news exists, and it exists across every single network. Just because I don't agree with the story doesn't make it fake news, but when it's an outright lie, it's fake news, and I don't give a damn what network you watch. And for the record, I usually watch CNN in the morning, I'll watch Fox in the afternoon, and then I'm done. There's only one real show on Fox I watch, and no, it's not Tucker Carlson. It's The Five, because I freely admit Dana Perino's on there, and she's hot as hell, and I remember her from the Bush years. So I like seeing her on, the channel. I like the fact The Five has a great roundtable thing going on, and they have every viewpoint represented. So I think it's neat to see people from all kinds of political spectrum arguing a point. That's just me. All right. So he's talking about a point where judges, and this is like with Paul Manafort, and he's running his damn mouth, and the president with tweets and everything, and he sits and he goes, "My fear is that someday a judge will care and somebody will be cowed by the crowd. The fact is, plenty of people in Washington are cowed already, such as the Republicans on Capitol Hill, many of whom believe the president is unfit for office but are afraid to stand up to him." Here's a little tip. If any of you are working for a congressman or senator or whoever on the Hill, tell your boss, do his fucking job. If he thinks the president's unfit, stand up. Do the right thing. If not, shut up. Quit running behind the scenes trying to play both sides of the fence. I promise, we're almost done. Come on, where are you? Here we go. Okay. So this is the part that, I'll be honest, I really didn't pay attention to or ever really understand or realize, but I guess he got a call on his first job as he got a call on his first day as the job as acting director of the FBI to come over to the White House. And he sits there and he says he was sitting down to a senior staff meeting, and as the meeting began, his secretary relayed a message that the White House was calling. The president himself was on the line. This was highly unusual. Presidents do not typically call the FBI directors. And I did not know this. Federal policy written by the DOJ strictly restricts such contact. There should be no direct contact between the president and the FBI director, according to White House contacts policy, except for national security purposes. I didn't know that. I didn't realize the president couldn't pick up a phone right now and call Christopher Wray and go, "We need to talk about this." I didn't know he had to go through 18 different people to get to Chris. Chris had to come back the 18 different way and a meeting would be set up. I did not know that. All right, because, most things I've ever worked at, most units in the military, leaders have open door policies. Anybody at any point could walk in and talk about whatever. If it was stupid, your first sergeant might throw a boot at you. But, All right, and this is the last one. I promise. And this is what kills me. Fear is why the president still has a map of his electoral college victory hanging outside the door to the Oval Office. Fear is why the president makes every single person who goes into his office pass by a display meant to assert his right to sit behind the Resolute desk. Fear is why he asks people to pledge personal loyalty. All right. That one pissed me off. If the first thing I ever run for is the president of the United States and I win, and I have every news agency basically going, "How the hell did he do this?" I get it. I'd have that damn thing posted right in the frickin' Oval Office going, "Look, I may never be able to do that again, but one time in my life, I got this incredibly right." If it's his ego that makes him want to do that, great. I do it as well. I mean, seriously, I know I'm probably going to screw this up, but that's stuff from my little business. In the military, we call those "I love me" walls. And that's exactly what they are. You put up awards, decorations, you put up stuff that you've done. That way you can look at it and go, "Hey, at one time in my life, I was freaking awesome." I know behind me you can see "We support the troops," whatever, and it's out of frame, but right over there is pictures of my kids growing up and everything. So I can look at them and go, "One time you were freaking awesome, now you're a little jerk, I want to throw out a window." I don't think it's fear that he has that there. I think it's point blank, that is so cool. If you looked at things from his office, how he had magazines and frames and everything else all around him. I get it. I get that. But anyway, I think it's a good read. It seems like a career professional, very, very pissed that POTUS isn't doing the norms. So he's upset. And in Washington, cronyism takes on a whole heck of a lot. So I get why, okay, director's comey's fired, I'm pissed off, so now I'm going to get revenge. Not saying he did that, but these are things that are running through my mind reading this book. It's a very interesting read. Like I said, the part about his career and the stuff he did, especially the part about the Boston Marathon and how they handled that, how he got them everything they needed. I mean, it's amazing to see what he moved so quick to get resources into Boston to get that shit fixed like that. But anywho, before this goes on too much longer, because I bet I'm already over a half an hour mark knowing my luck, I want to know what you guys think. I'm not saying this is a pro-Trump book. I'm not saying it's an anti-Trump book. It's one man's story, and I think it's worth a read. I do. But, questions, comments, love, hatred, everything, down below in the comments section like y'all usually do. Let's have a good discussion on this one, okay? Now, for you first-time viewers, because we're going to do the wrap-up here, because I know it's probably gone on long, because I can see the battery meter shortening. I want to thank you so much for watching this one. It is a strange one, I know. All right, I know it's a flat-out strange one, but thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for giving me some of your time. Now, for you first-time guys and you long-time viewers who didn't do it at the beginning of the video, here's your second chance. Look down below. I think it's going to be in that corner. No, that corner. Yeah, that corner. It's going to be a big channel symbol popping up. All right? Click on that thing. Going to bring you right to subscribe. Go ahead, beat up that subscribe button. Why? Why not? Make me happy. Make you happy. That way you stay up to date with what's going on the channel. After you've destroyed that subscribe button, please beat up its little brother, the bell icon. Now, why? That's the one that's going to let you, my amazing viewer, know every single time this channel uploads a brand new video. Now, speaking of videos, I know, y'all guessed it, going to pop up over there. Those are going to be videos that YouTube is going to select from my catalog that they think are going to be a great viewing experience for you. But there we go, guys. My attempt to stay on track and, not flip my lid, The Threat by Andy McCabe. Thanks, guys, so much for watching, and I hope you have a good one today.